accused of murdering journalist Lyra McKee in Northern Ireland, have been found not guilty. The verdict has shocked a community, devastated a family, and left a nation asking a question that has no comfortable answer. Who is being held accountable for the murder of a 29-year-old journalist, killed while standing beside police vehicles on a spring night in Londonderry? The answer, tonight, is no one. Here is the full story. Lyra McKee was 29 years old, a journalist, an author, and a rising voice in Northern Irish public life. She was known for her fearless and compassionate reporting, particularly on the legacy of the Troubles and its impact on ordinary people in Northern Ireland. She had been described as one of the most talented journalists of her generation. She was also, by all accounts, someone whose warmth and humanity shone through everything she did. Her partner Sarah Canning sat on the front row of the public gallery as the verdicts were delivered. Lyra McKee deserved a long career, a long life, and a long future. She was denied all three. On the night of April 18, 2019, disturbances broke out in the Cregan area of Londonderry, also known as Derry, in Northern Ireland. Lyra McKee was present at the scene, standing close to police vehicles and observing the disorder as a journalist. During the disturbances, a gunman opened fire. Lyra McKee was shot. She was rushed to hospital, but she could not be saved. Lyra McKee died from her injuries that night. She was 29 years old. In the aftermath of the shooting, the new IRA, a dissident Republican paramilitary group, issued a statement claiming responsibility for Lyra's killing. The organization said it apologized for her death, an acknowledgement that she had not been the intended target of the shooting. The admission that a paramilitary group had fired the shot that killed Lyra set the scene for one of the most complex and significant criminal trials in recent Northern Irish history. The three men who stood trial for Lyra's murder were Peter Cavanagh, 38, of Mary Street in Derry, Jordan Gareth Devine, 25, of Bishop Street, and Paul McIntyre, 58, of Kells Walk. All three faced a joint enterprise murder charge. Critically, none of the three was accused of firing the fatal shot that killed Lyra. The prosecution's case was that they had accompanied the lone gunman to a firing point on the night of the murder, and that in doing so, they had encouraged or assisted him. Under joint enterprise law, a person does not need to have pulled the trigger to be held legally responsible for a killing, if they participated in the criminal enterprise that led to it. The non-jury trial, a format used in Northern Ireland for serious cases where there are concerns about jury intimidation, opened in May 2024. It was one of the longest trials in recent Northern Irish history, concluding this April. The prosecution's case relied significantly on footage recorded by an MTV camera crew that had been in Derry on the day of the murder, including footage showing MTV presenter Reggie Yates in conversation with a number of the defendants. The prosecution suggested the disorder that broke out had been deliberately orchestrated by dissident Republicans to coincide with the presence of the MTV crew. However, the MTV camera crew had left the scene before the shooting took place.
The defense argued that much of the prosecution case was based on, in their own words, pure speculation.
None of the three defendants gave evidence in their own defense. Mrs Justice Smyth took more than 4 hours to read out her verdicts and the reasoning behind them. Peter Cavanagh, not guilty. Jordan Gareth Devine, not guilty. Paul McIntyre, not guilty. When the verdicts were delivered, there was little or no visible reaction from the three defendants. In the public gallery, friends and relatives of the accused sat on one side of the courtroom. Friends and relatives of Lyra sat on the other. Sarah Canning, Lyra's partner, was seated on the front row as the judge delivered her verdicts. She left before the hearing concluded. Outside the court, Lyra's sister Nicola Corner spoke, and her words were raw, direct, and devastating. She described the verdict as a complete and utter shock. "The system has completely failed Lyra, our family, and Northern Ireland," she said. She then spoke to something that goes to the heart of this case and to a wider problem that has plagued justice in Northern Ireland for decades. "Over 150 people witnessed what happened," Nicola said. "Not one came forward." And then she made a promise in her sister's name. Lyra said, "If you're going to go down fighting." One of the most troubling aspects of this entire case is a fact that Judge Mrs Justice Smyth herself highlighted at the end of the hearing. The gunman who fired the shot that killed Lyra McKee has never been brought to court. More than 7 years after her death, the person who pulled the trigger remains uncharged and unidentified in any public legal proceeding. Seamus Dooley of the National Union of Journalists put it plainly. "Someone has gotten away with the murder of a journalist," he said, drawing a parallel with the unsolved murder of journalist Martin O'Hagan in 2001. The Public Prosecution Service said it was satisfied that the legal test for prosecution had been met and that the case was in the public interest, but acknowledged that the acquittals would be deeply disappointing to Lyra's family. Nicola Corner's words outside the court deserve to be heard again. Over 150 people witnessed what happened on the night Lyra McKee was shot. Not one came forward. It is a reality that has haunted justice in Northern Ireland for generations. A culture of silence that protects those who commit acts of violence and denies justice to their victims. Judge Mrs Justice Smyth said the outcome of the trial would bring little, if any, comfort or relief to the family and friends of Lyra. She added, "Lyra McKee was murdered in an act of senseless violence. She was, and tonight, no one has been held accountable for it." Lyra McKee was 29 years old. She stood beside police vehicles on an April night in Londonderry, doing what journalists do, bearing witness. And a light that had so much left to illuminate went out. 3 men walked out of court today as free men. The person who pulled the trigger has never been charged. And a family that has fought for justice for more than 7 years is tonight being asked to keep fighting. Nicola Corner made a promise outside that courthouse. This is not over. We will continue to follow developments in this case and bring you updates as they emerge. If you found this report informative, please subscribe so you don't miss our next update.